Everybody hear me and everything? Everything good? My name is Mark Shear. I'm the Regional News Director for the Lockport Union Sun and the Niagara Gazette newspaper. I'm the guy that's responsible for having us at the library and then having it switched over here. So, you know, I'm the guy that was responsible for having that whole thing put into place, and I apologize for any inconvenience, but I do appreciate everybody coming, and I very much appreciate the understanding of our candidates. Our publisher, John Celestino, is here somewhere. He may not be in the building or in this area right at the moment, but he is here. We have Michelle DeLuca, our lifestyles editor, who is here to stream the event. Our moderator will be Rick Pfeiffer, one of our reporters. We have another reporter in the audience, Connor Hoffman, who will be covering the event for us. And we have Joe Kissel over here, I believe, from the Niagara News Source, who has joined us. So I would just like to say that when it comes to public debates of this nature, it's a taxing thing sometimes. It can be a little challenging for the candidates, a little nerve-wracking sometimes. So we just ask that everybody be respectful, regardless of how you feel, and you know, just no inappropriate behavior and that sort of thing. And we do appreciate the candidates being here, and we look forward to a good debate. Thank you.
Welcome to the Taylor Theater at the Keenan Center. I'm Rick Pfeiffer. I am a reporter with the Niagara Gazette newspaper. I will be your moderator for tonight for our election 2018 political debate. We will be featuring the candidates for mayor of Lockport and the candidates for the state assembly seat in the 144th district. Let me just run over the ground rules for you very quickly. We ask that you not engage in any displays of emotion, no booing, no clapping, no cheering, no yelling. I will be a school marm if you engage in that behavior, and you don't want me to be a school marm. At the end of the entire debate, we will give you plenty of time to cheer and hoot and howl for your favorite candidate, I promise. The candidates will begin with a 2-minute opening statement, and they will conclude with a 2-minute opening statement. The order in which they give their opening statement was determined by a random draw. They will answer questions from our regional news director at Greater Niagara Newspapers, Mark Shear, and we will alternate from left to right on the answers to questions. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. So, without any further ado, the opening statement in our mayoral debate, which features Democratic candidate Michelle Roman, Republican candidate Keith McNall, and Green Party candidate Wade Valkenburgh, will come from Wade Valkenburgh. Mr. Valkenburgh, you have 2 minutes.
Hey everybody, I know it's a hard name to pronounce, but it's actually VanValkenburgh. There's a lot of familiar faces and there's a lot of new faces. I look forward to meeting many of you and to help with the concerns out here in Lockport. A lot of people don't know who I am. Some people do. I've tried to do a lot of community service these past 2 years since I moved back out here. Now I don't have your typical childhood. I never knew who my father was. I was abandoned at the age of 12 by my mother, grew up in group homes, foster homes, living with older siblings, and even homeless. I started my own, through all these struggles, I started my own business, and out of a car that I eventually got, and created numerous offices through New York State promoting renewable energy. And this is something that I hold true.
If you can just get a little closer to the microphone, please.
I apologize. This is something that I hold true. And like I said, I've been through the struggle, so I see what's happening into our city. I moved back here for a place for my wife and my 2 children. And this is not the Lockport that I remember. There's many things that we could do. There's many solutions to problems. It just all takes leaders to work together to accomplish these goals. And I look forward to working with every one of you.
Thank you, Mr. VanValkenburgh. Mr. McNall.
Thank you. Over the last 3 decades, I have found myself dedicating countless hours to making Lockport a place that residents are proud to call home. Whether it be my 18 years on the Lockport Board of Education or my 12 years as an Niagara County legislator, I have strived to give back to our community and ensure the families of Lockport share the same wonderful experience I was granted growing up in our city. While serving in a leadership role as chairman of the Niagara County Legislature for the past 3 years, I developed the skills necessary to lead a city of our stature. I learned how to communicate and work with aldermen from across the county and worked with individuals who represented the interest of Niagara County residents from all different walks of life. This granted me the unique insight and opportunity to learn how to legislate. Because of this experience, I believe that I have the skills needed to continue the good work of our past leadership and build upon the solid foundation that is present. We need a leader who is all in and who is fully committed to the job at hand. A city with a budget of over $30 million needs a full-time mayor. This position cannot be taken lightly or be left to someone who will govern when it is convenient to their schedule. Take someone who will be available to answer the phone whenever it rings. Our residents deserve a leader who is fully committed to the task of creating a vibrant, safe, and economically successful city that will encourage our younger generations to lay down roots and start a family. Under the correct leadership, we can build upon our proud history and the foundation laid by our previous leaders to create a city that is vibrant and advances opportunity for all citizens.
Thank
With
you,
your
Mr.
help.
McNall. Ms. Roman.
Hello, I'm Michelle Roman, and I'm running for mayor because I believe every citizen in this city deserves to have their voice not only heard but empowered in the City Hall. And I was born and raised here on Niagara Street, the youngest of 9. Our parents, Bill and Katie Richter, raised us to be proud of our hometown of Lockport and to participate in our community and to give back. And my husband Derek and I did the same with our sons on Cherry Street. My sons, who are now 21 and 27, asked me to run. And they love Lockport just as much as I do. And they want to see it not only be a place where they can live, but they want it to be a place where they can thrive and enjoy life with their friends and be successful here. And that is why I am running. And I am running because I believe that we can collaborate and build community coalitions and work together to really build this city. And the only thing that I need to know is, what are the priorities of the people who govern us? Are they the priorities that you feel that you have, or are they something else? And who determines those priorities? Is it an all-powerful mayor, or is it a mayor who understands that it is in the power of the people who pay the bills and the people who live here? That's where the power lies, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you, Ms. Roman. We will now begin with our first question from Mr. Scheer, and our first answer, again moving left to right from the audience view, is from Mr. McNall. Go ahead, Mark.
Again, thank you all for participating. My first question is, as you go door to door campaigning across the community, what is the main concern you hear from residents? And if elected, what would you do to try and address that concern?
I hear
Mr.
several.
McNall, 1 minute.
Thank you. I hear several concerns. I think the one that comes to be most is streets, roads, infrastructure, things along that line. So in my answer to them, I say that we should revisit go back to basics, revisit the plan. We should have a plan in October for leaf pickup, one that's going to continue on to address the roads and the streets so that they're paved properly and they don't have to be done every other year. and follow up with that through meetings with the residents so we can hear their complaints and find out what areas need to be addressed, what areas need to be repaired so that injury will not happen. What's first and foremost here, even before, in my career as a legislator, I always put safety first. Safety to residents comes first. And I've heard all my life about jobs and taxes, and they are most important. But the main concern is the health and safety of the residents that live in this case, the city of Lockport.
Thank you, Mr. McNall. Ms. Roman.
As I go door to door, and I've gone across this entire city, and there are a few more places. A lot of you look familiar to me because I've met you along the way, and I hope to meet the rest of you over the next few weeks. Is similar to what my fellow candidate just mentioned. It is streets, it is the parks, and it is trees. They do want to have safe streets for their kids and to walk down. They want to have parks that are usable and family friendly. And they also want to be able to have services, city services provided in an efficient way and without it being increasing in their taxes. They all worry about their taxes. And we need to work together. We need to eliminate waste where there is some, but we need community input and to work with department heads and work with the workers. They are part of the solution, not part of the problem. And the residents are also part of the solution. So that's how we would tackle that, is getting together, making an assessment of where our areas of need are, and move forward from there.
Thank you, Ms. Roman. Mr. VanValkenburgh.
I agree with both opponents right now. That's something important things that we need to focus on. However, I do believe they forgot something, that is the poverty issue that we're facing in Lockport right now. There's an area in Lockport that has little to no income. This area keeps on expanding as well. We need to start providing, it's actually already here, we need to start guiding our people into vocational training. I've seen a number where we have 21,000 residents in Lockport, 31,000 residents in our neighbor, North Tonawanda. How is it that we have more than double the larceny cases when they have 10,000 more residents than us this year? It screams out poverty. There's obviously an opiate problem that we have to go along with as well. But we see something that's just getting worse. I am at the homeless shelter. I see numerous people constantly coming in. We see repeat guests all the time, just as I'm sure as the police officers see repeat offenders. Instead of locking the people up that are doing these petty larcenies that are just overwhelming, we need to push them into getting into vocational training, a job. And you know what? If they do that, let's not jail them.
Mr. VanValkenburgh.
Thank you.
Mr. Shear.
Kind of following up on that question, and infrastructure and those sorts of things are common problems that are discussed when you're going door to door, and residents talk about those a lot. How do you support improvement in the infrastructure and improving the city services and providing the city services, and how do you balance that against taxes and the impact on the taxpayers?
We'll begin with this question with Ms. Roman.
This is something that every citizen would like addressed. They want to make sure that sewage isn't backing up into their basements when we have rains, and they want to make sure that they have clean water, and they want to make sure that their streets are paved and things are taken care of. And there is an issue of money. We don't have a large tax base. The burden is mostly on homeowners, and we need to develop more ways of reaching out and getting more support through grants, and also, like I said, reducing waste. We have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in litigation fees fighting workers. We've spent tens of thousands of dollars in redundant services, paying outside agencies where our people could do that themselves, and those types of things. And once you reduce the waste, and you also work with county people and other neighboring places, cities, municipalities, and work with, and use their equipment instead of renting for hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's a milling machine, if I'm correct, in a county garage that's underutilized 80% of the time in the season. And why don't we work with the county and rent that along with other things? Those are the types of solutions that we need to do.
Mr. VanValkenburgh.
I definitely agree with what Miss Roman is saying. We also have another outlet, though. We complain about the trees that are happening. They need to be trimmed. This is not only our problem, it's NYSEG's problem as well. We give so much money to NYSEG that we should have forcefully made them at least fix what's happening around the power lines. This jeopardizes their business as well as Lockport's business. As your mayor, I will forcefully be calling NYSEG every day until this gets accomplished. Maybe then we could focus on the other areas of the city that need to be fixed. I mean, there's so many areas where this is hazardous, these trees, to your public property, our private property. It's an issue that's just been neglected too long or not handled as well as it should have been. Apologize for that. But it's an issue that I'm going to address because I realize that we only have a year for this mayor. So I'm going to guarantee to get some things done.
Mr. VanValkenburgh, time. Mr. McNall.
Yes, thank you. Much of my opposing candidates' comments are worthy, but I always felt that in trying to establish the financial basis for cost relative to the operating tools that you may need to address needs of the city or a county, would be adjusting your budget, how you put that together. That is very important as the basis for the justification of finances to operate your city. And while doing it, you have to separate, and it hurts sometimes, you have to separate want from need, because sometimes department heads and others want a lot. But in doing a budget that is voted on and sponsored by the taxpayers, you have to be careful because they're paying the bill. So want versus need. Need comes first, okay? Then from there, you determine a line item, if you want, how much money you're going to need for this, or how much money you're going to need for that, or machinery, or snow plows, or whatever it might be. So I believe that will cover my answer, and I'm putting concentration on the importance of establishing a
Mr.
budget.
McNall.
Yes.
Thank you. One reminder, if I could ask you all to put your cell phones on stun, please. Thank you. The next question from Mr. Scheer.
Mr. McNall mentioned something that's come up a few times in recent weeks, and that's the full-time mayor versus the part-time mayor concept. So, in your opinion, is the office of mayor a full-time job? And if elected, what would you do in terms of the structure of your administration?
Mr. VanValkenburgh, we begin with you.
Okay, I believe that it is a full-time job. This is one of the main differences me and my Democratic opponent disagree on. I think that from what I hear on the Democratic side is we don't need micromanagers. I seen the open government grades and I don't think there was micromanaging happening to have them terrible of grades. If we need accountability, we need the person to push every union leader and make them have a great workplace where we could work together to figure things out, to accomplish what's the best, what the concerns are of the citizens, and without hurting any union city worker. Negotiations need to be at the table. We need a complete review on all of our budget, and working together, we're going to accomplish this.
Mr. McNall, you're next.
I think it's certainly most important to have a full-time mayor. I don't think you want to jeopardize the safety and security of your city by having someone who is in there part-time or half-time or not available when any kind of an immediate emergency might arrive. I think that would be a mistake. I think the charter says we need a strong mayor. A strong mayor is a full-time mayor. I know that I have in the public service, be it as a school board president or a chairman of a legislature, you are available. You need to be available 24 hours a day, 365 days, in the whole 7 days a week, because you never know when something is going to hit you by surprise and you're going to need to make a very important decision. Be available.
Ms. Roman?
When I said that the mayor should be part-time, part of that was not that I was not going to commit myself fully to the position. I will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, working together with your other elected officials, like 3rd Ward Alderman Mark Devine, and all the city workers. And when you work together, it doesn't mean that I have to be on site 24 hours, 7 days a week. It just means that I have to be accessible, and I will be accessible to every single person. As I go door to door and I meet you, I'm walking every day, 7 days a week, and I'm spending hours doing that just to make connections with the people here. And I think that's a very important thing. What I meant by that is the cost. They increased the pay of the mayor to full-time. We're paying a full-time pension. We're paying full-time medical, and we're also paying a financial director $95,000 a year plus $35,000 in benefits. And he's also the city manager in respect. So I just feel like those are two redundant services. And the mayor is the leader of the city, and it's the leader that is supposed to bring all the groups together. And that's what I plan to do as mayor.
Ms. Roman? Mr. Schiff?
The city currently has a structure in which there are a number of boards, for example, like the police board, and they handle matters of importance to the city as a whole. Do you support using this structure moving forward, and do you think the mayor should retain the ability to appoint the individuals who serve on these boards?
We begin with Mr. McNall.
I believe that the boards that are in place now are very important. We have a full-time police force. We have a full-time fire department. I would not support anything different at this point in time. The mayor should be involved in their, not decisions, not to micromanage, but he should certainly be involved and made aware of their needs. They should be working together. They should work using the initiatives of, in between the two of them, fair play, common sense, good judgment, and from those things, do what is best for the city and the residents.
Thank you, Ms. Roman.
I do believe that committees and boards and commissions are valuable ways of advising the elected officials, and I do not believe in removing those in any way. I do believe in changing the structure of them and who is on them and who represents the city. I do not believe that the mayor should be having the power to appoint the city attorneys, the city clerk, the president of the council, every member of every committee and board, the chair of every committee and board, including the Lockport Housing Authority. And those things should be about the people. And we should have a representative from every ward on those. And I don't believe the mayor should be able to appoint those things without some kind of approval by the city council, who are the representatives that you elected to represent you. And I believe that when we have true representation of every ward in those capacities, we will make a difference and we will change the status quo. We do not need a stronger mayor dictating to you. We need the community letting you know what is the best course of action to take. And it's not always going to be easy, and there are going to be battles, but at least you know your voice was heard and there will be explanations for it.
Ms. Roman, time. Mr. VanValkenburgh.
Everybody, we wouldn't even be facing this issue if we didn't have a few lame ducks in office right now. When we score, bringing it back to the open government, when we score, the Lockport Housing Authority scores a 12 out of a possible 100, it's shameful. We need an open government where our citizens can know wherever to go to receive the information that they need. So saying that, I am going to reach out to many different citizens, and I believe this discussion needs to be focused more on. Let me tell you, if I was the mayor, we wouldn't have them grades because that would hold people accountable, and we would find a new person for that position.
Mr. Shear.
What do you do about improving or maybe maximizing transparency in the city government? At times you do hear from residents who say, I'm not sure what's happening inside City Hall, or I'm not sure what's happening here. Or in some cases with these boards, you know, they have meetings during the day and people aren't really aware of maybe what they do or how they do their business. So what do you do to kind of maximize transparency within the city?
Ms. Roman, we begin with you.
For starters, is have more residents from every ward on those committees and boards. Allow for open town hall meetings beyond just the common council meetings, which restrict the comment period by people. It is to open up our website, and when you click on the budget, you can actually see the budget that's proposed. You can see past budgets. If you want to click on that, we should not have to FOIA, which is Freedom of Information Act, for information that is public knowledge. The only thing that should be kept from us and in secret are personnel or HIPAA type stuff. And that is the only thing. Everything else should be available to us. And that's what I plan on doing.
Mr. VanValkenburgh.
It's funny that you speak of the website and then say about the budgets. I recommend everybody to go to lockportnewyork.gov/budgets. You're going to see that none of the links are working to look at these budgets. You're going to see the most ridiculous thing. You're going to see that it's written in Latin. The headline is written in Latin. This is open government for you. I've been trying to get detailed information for quite a while, and it's not accessible. So I recommend everybody to do that, and then raise your voice about it because it's serious.
Mr. McNall.
I would plan those meetings that you want city residents to attend after 5 o'clock, so they can be there. I cite for you the example of your county legislature. We have our meetings in the evening hours. They are open to the public. Even the subcommittee meetings in the evenings are open to the public if they want to come. Okay. During our regular meeting, of course, you have the 3-minute time limit during items of agenda, but we have, after the meeting, we have a period where residents can speak about the good of the order, and they can speak for as long as they want. There is no time limit. Time's the factor here, and you have to make meetings available when people are available. Many people still work during the course of the day. They can't get away. After 5 is best. That's what I would be concentrating on. Opening those meetings so people can be available to come and take part in them.
Thank you, Mr. McNall. Mr. Shear.
Aside from infrastructure and recreation and those sorts of issues, I would say taxes is probably one of the primary issues that residents care about, business owners, homeowners. So what would you say about the current level of cost in the city and what would your approach be to perhaps lowering taxes if you could? Do you have any ideas for how you might go about doing that?
We begin with Mr. VanValkenburgh.
Well, to address the tax issue, we need to review all of our finances. We need negotiations happening November 7th. This can't wait till January 1st. We need a good start going into our new year. I need to sit down, negotiate with the union leaders, the experts in their field. We need to find the areas where we can save without hurting our citizens or our union workers. This takes much work, and this has to be done when we find out the next day who our mayor is. You can't wait till January 1st, start getting things on the roll. And that's exactly what I plan on doing, to figure out the areas where we can save by speaking to the experts in the fields that they're in our city.
Thank you, Mr. McNall.
Could you repeat that again, the question?
Essentially, what would you do to lower taxes, or how would you contain costs within the city government?
Gotcha, okay, thank you. First of all, I would continue to follow in some of the footsteps of the previous mayor relative to right-sizing government in a conservative way. I would go back to basics in some instances to cut costs. The best way to reduce your budget cost is to reduce spending. That's what you need to do. So I would review those areas to see if there was a spot where we might be able to save some money, where we might be able to look at consolidated services, okay, and reduce cost that way first. Thank you.
Ms. Roman.
Like I said, the burden right now lies heavily on homeowners, and I would like to do things that other communities have done successfully, like have a vacant property registry, which forces people not to have a tax break for having empty buildings and underutilized buildings. And once you build that up and get those buildings filled with small businesses and community organizations, then they can build your tax base, they can provide more jobs, and we really need to bring in more jobs into this area. And we can be green energy leaders here, and that could also build more jobs. We can use the canal, not just for tourism, but for green energy and jobs. We can use solar, which we've already started in the city, and we can expand that, and we can bring companies in. I've heard from people that moved here from Florida, California, Orchard Park, and they said it was okay, the high taxes